All right, tonight I'm in the shop and we're gonna talk about filling shocks. I had somebody post up a question on one of the previous videos when I was filling up a shock that Jason replaced on his buggy. We were charging it with nitrogen so that he was good to go for that ride. So I've got two tools here to show you. I bring one of them with me so that way I have it all the time, just in case we were to need nitrogen out on a trip somewhere. But I'll go over those now. All right, so here we've got my tank. I just run a small tank. I bring it with me. I like to have it on a trailer in case we ever have a problem when we're out wheeling or have anything we need this thing for. But you don't really need a lot of volume when you're filling shocks. So this is just a real basic setup. This is my tank. It's got a regulator on it. You would adjust your pressure here. This gauge will show you the tank pressure when you open the valve, and then this will show you your charging pressure for the shock. It's just got the hose and a normal chuck. Over here, this is from Motion Pro, and they make this thing. I don't really use it very often, but it's a no loss valve so that you can thread this onto the shock right here, and then you would twist this in and it would connect in. Basically, it would open that valve up, and then you would charge your shock through here, and then when you're done doing that and you got it set the way you want it, you would thread this back out and it'll disconnect from the valve, closing the valve on the shock, and then you would thread it off so that you don't have any loss. 9 times out of 10, I just use tank with the regulator on it and a normal chuck. I don't always break out that other tool. It's overkill in my opinion for a lot of such situations. If I was in the shop and doing something super critical, I might use it, but normally I don't. So you use that tool to fill up any kind of shocks. It could be little shocks on a four-wheeler like on here, this reservoir and this shock, Schrader valves on the bottom, same deal. It could be on the buggy like these things, or a regular coilover on the piggyback. Here's a reservoir for on a Radflow. There's a triple bycast King in here. It's right there on top of the reservoir. Same thing. It could be the same deal on the Jeep. Fill those things up. Dirt bikes have them. Pretty much everything that you're gonna do performance-wise, you're gonna fill with nitrogen. So we'll grab a shock here off the floor. We'll throw it on the workbench and check it out. All right, don't mind the mess in here. A little bit of a disaster going on, but I'm gonna show you what goes on with filling the shock up. So we're gonna take this tank, unloop this hose. It's just an old shock off of a Jeep. So basically, we open this valve. This tank says it's got 2,000 pounds of pressure in it. Right now, this valve, we're gonna crank this thing up until, on this one, we're gonna say 200 PSI. You start seeing it rise as you start dialing it in there. Okay, we're gonna fill this one to 200. So I take the cap off of the reservoir. When I go to put this chuck on here, we're gonna see a dip in this left gauge. It's just gonna drop momentarily as it drops pressure in this hose, and then we'll watch it come all the way back up to the 200 mark that I have it set at. At that point, pull the chuck off and we're done. Okay, it's solid at the 200. All we do is pop it off, and that's it. The shock's charged. Well, that's pretty much it for filling shocks. I don't claim to be an expert by any means, but I know how to maintain all my own equipment, and that's basically what I do. I take my shocks apart, I clean them, I change the oil, we look for worn parts, we swap them out if there is any. I do a little bit of tuning on my own equipment, changing shim stacks and stuff for different valving, but that's it, just more normal maintenance than anything. But I try to keep this tank with us in case we have a problem and we need to make an adjustment. You always want to fill these shocks when they're fully extended. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but You're always looking to fill them at full extension. So if you have to droop the buggy out to do that, or you have to have the shock off the vehicle to do that, you just want to make sure that it's fully extended when you go to fill it up. All right, guys. I hope we see you out wheeling soon. Have a good one.